It is Saturday, December 7th, and welcome back to Briefcase Digest, where I'll be your guide to global events and keeping you informed. First up, senior members of the incoming Trump administration have begun high-level discussions with leaders from Kyiv to address significant differences in their strategies for ending the war in Ukraine ahead of Trump's return to the White House in January. Later in the briefing, we'll discuss how Iranian-backed Hezbollah militants plan to combat rebel insurgents in Syria on behalf of the Assad regime, as Israel warns of a potential collapse of the regime's defenses. Additionally, UK authorities have dismantled a vast billion-dollar Russian money laundering network linked to foreign spies and Russian elites seeking to evade international sanctions. Later in the briefing, we'll be discussing a tragic update from Israel, a long-awaited investigation by the Israeli Defense Forces, or the IDF, have determined that 6 hostages whose bodies were recovered from Gaza in August were likely killed by their Hamas captors back in February as Israeli forces were approaching. Now let's focus on Russia's war in Ukraine. Officials in Kyiv are engaging in high-level talks with senior members of the incoming Trump administration to seek an end to the ongoing conflict. According to an exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal, retired Army Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, Trump's nominee for Special Envoy to Russia and Ukraine, along with Mike Waltz, his incoming national security advisor, met with a top aide to Ukrainian President Zelensky on Wednesday. This goal is to bridge the substantial gaps in Trump's and Zelensky's visions for achieving a lasting settlement. Zelensky's closest advisor's trip is aimed at building relationships with Trump's team, who will likely play a crucial role in shaping Ukraine's future. Earlier, he met with incoming White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles in Florida before heading to Washington to engage with Kellogg and Waltz. They discussed Ukraine's readiness for a just peace, as reported by the Journal. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance also participated in these discussions, though details remain sparse. Trump's vision reportedly involves ceding significant portions of eastern Ukraine to Russia, areas currently occupied by Moscow's forces, and preventing Ukraine from joining NATO. However, Zelensky has recently shifted his stance, asserting that Ukraine will not surrender any territory to Russia. He suggested last Friday that he might consider a temporary ceding to Russian-occupied areas in exchange for NATO membership. Under this strategy, Ukraine would not permanently relinquish the roughly 20% of territory currently occupied by Russia, but would seek to reclaim it through diplomatic means once the conflict's active phase has concluded. Ukrainian officials maintain this demand. On Tuesday, Ukraine's foreign minister stated that the country would reject any security guarantees that do not involve NATO membership, emphasizing that they will not accept any alternatives. Russia, for its part, has previously dismissed peace talks unless Kyiv agrees to various demands that heavily favor the Kremlin's interests. Many national security analysts suggest that Trump might encounter resistance from Vladimir Putin, who currently has Ukrainian forces under pressure and may look to expand territorial gains to strengthen his negotiating position. What strategies are Trump's team considering to bring to both parties or to the negotiating table? It's hard to say. Kellogg, leading these efforts, reportedly advocates for a carrot-and-stick approach. This includes increasing military aid to Kyiv if Putin refuses to engage, while also threatening to cut off support if Ukrainian leaders are unwilling to participate in the discussions. As Ukrainian leaders express a desire to advance negotiations, the current focus is on increasing pressure on Russia. Kellogg supports the outgoing Biden administration initiative to expedite weapons deliveries to Ukraine, arguing that this will enhance Trump's leverage over Moscow and strengthen his role as a mediator. And moving on, Hezbollah has announced its intention to join the conflict in Syria on behalf of the Assad regime, as Israeli reports indicate that the Syrian military's defenses are in jeopardy due to the militant Islamic rebel onslaught. Hezbollah's chief, Naim Qassem, delivered a rare televised speech denouncing Syrian rebels as terrorist groups bent on destabilizing the region. While many groups opposing Assad are recognized as terrorist organizations, it seems contradictory for Hezbollah, which has also engaged in attacks against Israel, to position itself as a fight against terrorism. The Assad regime is a key ally of Hezbollah's Iranian backers, with Syria serving as a vital route for smuggling weapons to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Qasim stated that Hezbollah militants would soon join Assad's forces to suppress the Islamist uprising, which has captured a significant amount of territory in northern Syria, including critical cities. However, details on how they will support the Assad regime remain vague. Israeli intelligence reports that the Assad regime's defensive lines are collapsing faster than anticipated, with rebels pushing south towards Damascus, Assad's seat of power. An Israeli official noted that Syrian military is not effectively resisting the rebels, marking the most significant challenge for the Assad regime in a decade. Israel and the United States have long opposed the Assad regime and sought to undermine Iranian and Russian influences in Syria. This conflict presents a dilemma for Western governments. While the rebels pose a challenge to the Assad regime and his allies, their victory could lead to Syria falling into the hands of hardline Islamic radicals. Shifting to the United Kingdom, law enforcement agencies have executed a significant crackdown on international crime, dismantling $1 billion Russian money laundering network that operated across the West. Dubbed Operation Destabilization, this investigation was led by UK's National Crime Agency, the NCA, in collaboration with the FBI and authorities from France and Ireland. The NCA described this as one of the most significant anti-money laundering operations in recent years. This network laundered immense sums of cash and cryptocurrency for Russian hacking groups, drug cartels, and sanctioned individuals. Investigators found that illicit funds were linked to ransomware attacks, drug trafficking, and espionage activities, providing a workaround for Russian elites evading UK sanctions. Operation Destabilization resulted in 84 arrests and the seizure of over $25 million in cash and cryptocurrency. The NCA's Director General of Operations praised the effort, noting, "For the first time, we've been able to establish a link between Russian elites, crypto-rich cybercriminals, and drug gangs in the UK." At the core of the operation were two entities, SMART and TGR, with the head of SMART previously sanctioned by the US for involvement with ransomware groups, indicating potential criminal activity. Both SMART and TGR exchanged millions in cryptocurrency for cash, facilitating crime bosses in the West to finance drug purchases from South America, bypassing traditional banking systems. Between 2022 and mid-2023, the SMART network reportedly funneled funds into unspecified Russian espionage operations, while aiding sanctioned individuals in transferring funds to the UK. The corruption web extends even further. With ties to Russia Today, the state-funded media outlet whose sanctioned owner had spread disinformation regarding Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The laundering process involved a complex layering, with couriers executing cash handovers at 55 locations across England, Scotland, Wales, and the Channel Islands over just 4 months. These couriers worked on behalf of at least 22 organized crime groups, making the operation remarkably extensive. While dismantling this network represents a significant achievement for the NCA, authorities recognize ongoing challenges. The NCA's Director General stated, "Of course, there's always someone waiting to fill the void. We understand the system now, and we will pursue them." The IDF's investigation revealed that 6 hostages, whose bodies were recovered from Gaza in August, were executed by their Hamas captors, countering earlier beliefs that they were killed during IDF airstrikes. The 6 hostages were a part of a group kidnapped by Hamas terrorists and initially held in a secure underground command center. As the IDF advanced towards its ground operations in December 2023, Hamas moved the hostages to a residential area to distance themselves from their commanders. In February, the IDF targeted Hamas commanders in the area, killing 6 militants unaware of the hostages' locations. Initial speculation suggested that the hostages may have died in those airstrikes, but the IDF suspected that they were executed beforehand. On August 20th, the IDF's elite 998th Division recovered the bodies, and an investigation confirmed that all 6 had died from gunshot wounds, indicating execution. The Hostage Families Forum, representing relatives of the approximately 100 hostages still held captive in Gaza, issued a statement demanding immediate international action, stressing the urgency of the situation. President-elect Donald Trump has echoed these concerns, advocating for the hostages' release before his inauguration. Negotiations for their return are reportedly ongoing, involving Trump's team, the outgoing Biden administration, and international mediators. The IDF's findings highlight the critical need to resolve the hostage crisis, with families anxiously awaiting news of their loved ones.